Damn son of bitches. That's hilarious. Yeah, I think it's funny, whenever animals do some shit, like, you just, like, mimic back. That's cool that you try to save them. You're like, I'm trying to save your kids, ho. Pet geezers. I'm so done. Oh, yeah, I break for squirrels. You already know that. Vodka and orange juice on the list. At least at least you getting your OJ in, yo. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. I know sometimes Mother's Day has a sad feeling to it, sometimes it has a happy feeling to it. Overall, we should embrace our mothers in whatever light that they may be in our world, because they give us life, you know? Even if you don't have the greatest relationship with your mother, or maybe she's gained her angel wings, it's still a good thing to just be thankful that they give us a whole life to live, you know? Whether they were the greatest mom in the world or maybe not. That is something we can all have value in and appreciate. Yeah, I remember you said that, Bama. You know, you just ask for a sign and you shall receive. I have some angels up there that were very much so motherly to me, so I do think about them on a day like today. I don't think it'll ever change. We'll always miss the ones that mean the most to us. If I had $1 every time you change your profile picture, I'd be rich. Little pterodactyls. But you know, animals have their natural instincts too. They have to like, is this person harmful? What are their intentions? You know, and then they pick up on it. They're just doing what they do. My mom worked for like a couple exotic animal farm type things growing up, like even before I was born and then after I was born. Um, there was a point where I was like, I think like under 10 years old. I want to say I was like 6 or 7 or something. But she was working, helping this lady out with like a bunch of exotic animals, and I had like the blessing, I would say. I don't know if they were doing all this stuff legally back then, hopefully, but um, I know one of the farms she worked at definitely was, but the other one, I think back, like being older and questionable, pretty sure they don't exist anymore. But they had so many different animals, so it was actually pretty cool to like have that experience of like learning animals' personalities and definitely seeing that they're also similar even when they're different. Yeah, me too. I just want the best for them. What's on the plan today? I did so much garden work yesterday. My feet still hurt. I definitely got some sunburn, but this morning it's like starting to tan already and it's not like crinkly, so that's good. I don't know what happened there. You grew up on the farm too? I mean, as long as I can remember, my mom left at a young age, but I always like had this like I don't know, like aura around her that she was like a Snow White too, and I know that's where I got a lot of that from. My dad always loved animals too, but my mom was just like way different. She didn't care what kind of animal was what. She was always there to save it. I remember one time she even saved a turtle on the side of the road. Like she was always adamantly like saving animals, but my aunt was like that too. So I remember like a couple people in my family being very animal like will do anything for an animal, and that's essentially how I've grown up at this point. They're definitely almost always better than humans. They teach you a lot of things without words, and that's an interesting like relationship to have because you're learning core and like soul energies and like intentions without words. It's like actions and like they pick up on so much. It's a beautiful thing. And to have trust with them is like irreplaceable, especially wild animals. My mom always had critters finding us. Yeah, but those are their babies too. So they're like, what are your intentions? They're trying to like understand. Because imagine not every human's like that. So animals put their trust in us too, and sometimes take active like trust. Like some of my regular ducks, like I can be like right next to them. I could probably even pet them, but I continue this trust with them of like, I don't want you to think I'm ever gonna like grab you or take you away from your freedom because I feel like people do that too instead of realizing that like wildlife can naturally come to you and still have all the freedom in the world. And I think that's such a beautiful thing to know that they'll still come visit you and have trust with you and know that you're not going to like capture them, you know? And we already talked about this. Geese are crazy, cute and crazy. I have to get a picture of the goose down over here by one of the lakes. They put up private property signs over there recently, which makes me laugh because I'm almost positive that's the state's. So I'm like, is it private property? And to be fair, we really took over the animals like kingdom, you know? We're living in the animals kingdom. Like we should be blessed to even be here. So I feel bad for them. Like during COVID, I know you've seen some of the videos where like animal wildlife was really coming out because of the lockdown. Grizzly Adams and Wild Kingdom. What is that? I grew up like watching Steve Irwin and America's Most Funniest home videos with the animals. I always loved Discovery Channel too. I always forget the dude's last name, but the British dude, David something, that does all the animal stuff. Very knowledgeable. I feel like we need more people being aware of like how we're treating the earth and even animals, because that's how everything like happens. Like they take care of so much stuff in nature, and like we should be blessed to even have them here with all the global warming and toxicity. Yeah, I'm like an old soul trapped in a young wise bodysuit. I think sometimes I was like born in the wrong time, but maybe in the right time, so I can like keep some things around that are like falling off as the world changes and turns. I really like that Steve Irwin's kids like kept up his legacy though in their own way. I forgot you're like an old fart, Bama. I'm just kidding. I got jokes. We've definitely got more advanced with like shows and like history and education and wildlife like knowledge and stuff, which is so important. But some of these older shows had like very like technology wasn't as great, especially for like marine life, like documentaries and stuff. They entirely changed, and sometimes you wonder, is this like AI? Like, is this real? And of course, some of it is, but it definitely those older shows had some key grounding points too. Yeah, you came out of the moon wearing like parachute pants with your hippie glasses on. Woodstock child. I would have loved to go to Woodstock though. I know it was like I want to say it was before COVID. They were like having whispers in the air that they were going to recreate Woodstock, but it could have been one of those what is it, fire festival type of things that were just like not what it made it to be. Oh my God, I cannot. I cannot. I will say, living in a neighborhood that's primarily filled with old farts, it's a reminder of what I don't want to be when I'm like close to retirement into retirement because mass majority of them are miserable. And those are supposed to be your golden years, yo. And when you're younger, you think you know everything and you don't really know shit yet. It's all by experience. But even though people are older, it does not make them fucking wiser. You can learn things from younger souls too, you know. That's why I always say I prefer definitely 18 and older in here, but preferably like 25 and up. But I'll take some of the ones that are in maybe earlier 20s because we can all learn from each other, you know, in different ways. And I know, like, even growing up with like a whole mix of family and then like chosen family and then like inputted family into my life, like, so to speak, quote unquote family, you know, you can all learn from one another. Like, and sometimes, like, you of course teach the younger folks some stuff, but they keep us younger at heart too. And I think we're all just really trying to heal that inner child. So I do think it's important when certain people come into our lives too, there's always like a message or a learning lesson behind it, so to speak. Oh, I gotta hide you now. How the hell you get a wrench? Yeah, you gotta go. You can't even buy a lottery ticket. You gots to go. Don't be saying that shit in here. When you're young though, like your mind is so easy to like change even when you're stubborn. Like you're like, I'll never change, and then you look back and you're like, I did change some, you know, and like change doesn't have to be a bad thing. But I do think that being younger, like it all is about influences around you with how you grow up and who you become as a human. Because ultimately we make our own decisions. Like we can have people that can influence us or have our back or inspire us in good ways, but we ultimately have free will. And when you're younger, you view things a lot different, and then the world jades you kind of as you go, and you get to decide if you become like humble or bitter. You're like Benjamin Button. I've actually never seen it. I just know like the the theory behind it, I guess. I know, Bama. You might as well tattoo that shit on your forehead. Don't. Crystal be like, you're crazy. Yeah, you need to add that into your anchor message. You need to be old enough to buy a lottery ticket to be in here. Actually, I don't know if that, I'm pretty sure you can't buy like lottery ticket if you're not at least 18 everywhere, but you need to make sure that you have some life experience. But honestly, I grew up really fast. I think a lot of us did. We grew up really fast where our childhood just like blasted by us because maybe we were in survival mode, or you were the caretaker, or like you didn't get to focus as much on like maybe what your dreams were because life is being thrown at you. Everyone has different experiences, of course. But I know even like myself, like I felt like I had to grow up really, really fast, and that took away from what should be chiller moments in your life, and very grounding moments too. I wouldn't change anything, but as a wiser woman now, I do realize like there's a lot of experiences once again along the way that make you who you are, and to be open to change because change doesn't have to be a bad thing. Oh, snap. Blast from the past. I'm sorry to hear that about your friend. I like to say that they've gained their angel wings because passed away sounds so sad, and we're all just like in habit of saying that. Because I believe we all meet again, you know, and then when we gain an angel, we really do have like a backup team of souls that will guide us through in this life if we lean upon it. Hey, you don't have to talk to anyone you don't want to, you know, but forgiveness is an important thing because that's how we grow ourselves, you know, if we're holding this baggage of like sadness, hate, upset, like anger, all those things are really just like taking away from like the next person having an opportunity to be a good person in our life because we've been hurt, you know? Yeah, maybe you got pushed through the divine to tell her. Maybe you made that decision on your own. I hope that she was kind about it, and maybe it was even like your friend. Oh, I never forget. I don't ever forget, and that's not something good either to be remembering all the things. So I try to remind myself that, you know, you have good lights of people because that's how they become in your life most of the time, you know, like you start having like good memories and they stick around, and then people start to show their whole ass and you're like, wait a minute. We also have to remember everyone has their own baggage, whether we admit it or not. And we're kind of like deciding when we allow people in our lives, like, am I willing to like grow with this person, and not just like romantic, but even friendships and stuff. Can we grow together and like become better people, or is this like toxicity? And people make mistakes and stuff, but classic Bob Marley, the ones we're suffering for don't make you suffer. And I try to actively like stand by that, and it's definitely easier said than done. But I do agree that some people deserve second chances, but never to forget. And some people don't fucking deserve second chances, and then you just walk away, and it'd be like a moment maybe where they learned that they messed up, you know, and value people in a different way, and you taught them in ways you don't always realize when your feelings are getting hurt. Don't be in the cat girl stuff, you know. Um, they obviously have mutual feelings towards one another, because if you're saying Crystal was the one, you know, she probably knew that. And what woman or human would ever want to hear that? No one, you know. And then definitely on the other side of the foot, when you care about people, you don't want people that you care about getting hurt by someone repetitively. I've been really actively working on just praying for the ones that definitely need some guidance, you know? As we start inputting anger here and there and in feelings and stuff, it just becomes like forest fire and somebody need to call Smokey the Bear, you know? You also need that tattooed. These are like your slogans. Oh my god, I was just saying, have you messaged him this? And you literally just said that. Oh no. In your dreams or. You yanking my tail.